This Barbie is watching Riverdale. This Barbie is drinking champagne because it's her birthday. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday! That it's your birthday. Dun-dun.
22 years old.
We wish.
No, couldn't pay me.
Maybe not.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching Riverdale, Season 7, Episode 15.
Chapter 132, Miss Teen Riverdale.
Miss American Teen Crabs. Maybe. I don't know.
There was no Miss Baltimore Crabs.
There was not. I might have.
That's what Ethel should have sang.
Put those pipes to good use.
Okay, by the end of it, she was killing it.
She's fine. I would never utter the phrase, she's got a set of pipes on her.
Sure.
Christina Aguilera has a set of pipes,
okay,
not
fine.
Carly Rae Jepsen.
Fine.
You said you had a lot to say.
So much to say. It's mostly all about the end.
This was a fantastic episode.
Oh my God.
All about the girls and Alice.
Yeah.
I love Alice. I cannot explain. I can, and I will explain why. I just think she's interesting.
She's so interesting.
She's interesting because she's not a villain. People will argue me, but Penelope Blossom is a villain.
Well, okay, so Penelope Blossom is like a comical villain where like I want to see how like down the dark road she can go. Alice is a more realistic human villain or antagonist. Let's just say antagonist. But she can get villainous.
One of our favorite things about Riverdale is Betty and Alice's relationship. And 100%. That's compounded by the phenomenal chemistry that Lily Reinhart and Machinamek have.
I mean, it's unreal.
They can do it in their sleep, and they are. I mean, they are. With their eyes closed, hands tied behind their back. Yeah. And it's a pretty standard trope. This kind of that type of fraught relationship. It's not a given, but it is explored, and it's rarely the focus of Riverdale, but it's always sort of bubbling under.
Especially when there's ever a storyline where Betty is the like lead of the storyline. And
I do love how the show manages to not throw Alice away.
Yeah.
I believe me, I realized that I started off by saying, what do you have to say? And then I just took over, but
I'll still get there. I'll get it in.
I just, it suits the show overall, but especially this timeline that Alice means well, but she sort of represents the industry or the, what do you call it? The machine, the man, the whatever. Like, she represents the natural order of things.
Fucking word.
Institution?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And Betty doesn't, but also is out of time.
Yeah.
And
I'm 100% convinced we're not doing that. Like, the out of time doesn't matter.
This is just the 50s. This is just...
Don't think it matters. I'm like a little annoyed because I like wanted there to be some like big kind of wrap up at the end, and I think we're just gonna go out like this.
Oh, well, I'm sort of like, remember when they tried to reboot Once Upon a Time?
Yeah.
Why didn't we like? I want to see season 2 of this show.
Yeah, right, 100%.
So,
I mean, the gist of the episode is that it's the Miss Teen Riverdale pageant, and Betty doesn't want to compete because she thinks it's sexist and old-fashioned, and it kind of is. Pageants are sort of...
they're outdated.
Yeah. And so she's not going to compete, but then all the other girls are going to compete because so Toni's going to do it because it's the first year it's been integrated, and Midge is going to do it because it's like the last time she's going to be able to just like be a 16-year-old girl. What?
If you're not a total fry, it's just what you do.
It's just what you do. And then Cheryl's going to do it because she always wins, because her parents donate money to it. And Evelyn is just a joiner. And Veronica wants to do it because she's like, she just wants the prizes, or was she just doing it?
She wants to wear a bathing suit.
She just wants to be fun.
I forget. She name dropped a famous costume designer. I forget the name.
Oh, Edith
something. I sort of say Edith Piaf, and that's
no,
the singer.
That's not right. Yeah.
Head? Edith Head?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's right. And so they eventually end up convincing Betty that it actually like is a good idea. So she joins, and then Alice finds out that Midge is pregnant. Horrible. That part, I mean, we obviously had to do it to get to like putting Ethel in there, but
in Alice's defense, this is Alice doesn't know what we know about the Sisters of Quiet Mercy, and also if this is back in time, it being naive, but it could be
No, because Ethel was there this season already, and she was like, they're torturing us. So, and I think Alice does know. I think Alice 100% knows what goes on at the Sisters of Quiet Mercy.
I think it's still the institution. I think that she's like, it's what's meant to be. It's what's done.
Well, and then I swear to God, if I hear one more thing about Fangs' grand plan to just become an overnight sensation.
Really? Because I need so much more of it. You just need to write the #1 song, become an overnight. They keep telling him to get to work on this thing.
You know what it's like? It's like that scene from Down with Love where she explains her
master plan. I was gonna say it's not like my entire 20s.
Yeah. It's so bizarre because she gets like outed by Alice, and then her parents find out immediately, but they don't know that Fangs is the father apparently. So she gets carted up to the Sisters of Quiet Mercy like overnight, and no warning.
Drew Ray Tanner Fangs is all in. He loves
her so much.
He's such a team player.
Oh, you mean the actor?
Yeah, and Fangs the character. But he is durable, reliable. Yeah. Like I just love Fangs. I find this Midge, and this is not a complaint. But I find Midge and Evelyn Evernever's presence in this episode, in this season, baffling. I love it.
Yeah, in a good way.
I could possibly even use a little bit more. Yeah. Evelyn in this entire episode was at peak performance.
Hysterical.
And her Zoe, I love her so much.
So beautiful.
her dress, her hair. Yes,
she's got like the victory roll and everything. So what I love the most about it is like Toni and Cheryl are talking to Fangs, like talking him down off a ledge, essentially, because he's like, I'm gonna go over there, I'm gonna break her out, and like all of this. And
we're not.
And Toni is like, Fangs, relax. You just gotta stick to the plan, the original plan. Write a hit song, become an overnight sensation, and then no one can argue about the wedding. And I'm like, look, here's the thing. If Midge's parents are that racist, then I'm sure they could still find a reason why she shouldn't marry him. So it's like, you're waiting till you're 18 anyway. It's just insane to me. It's so funny.
This does bring us to Ethel.
Oh yeah, so Midge gets obviously taken off the pageant, and then Ethel is sobbing, quietly weeping while she's hemming Betty's dress at Peach or Perky in Peach.
You almost flipped the table.
Mary Andrews dress shop. Molly Ringwald's
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
About Molly.
Yeah. That's why I almost flipped the table. So, Perky and Peach, whatever. I'll allow it. It's hilarious. It's so on the nose as to be like the only thing I can see. Regardless, so Ethel,
and for me, it's like my actual nose, where I can always see it, but my brain just stops processing that I can see it. So it didn't look like anything to me.
Oh, because the other one that happened in this was Betty said, I'd like to go to Sarah Florence or Smith College, and I was like, one of those is real. It's so stupid that one of them is real and why didn't you just make them both fake? Are you telling me that Smith College is endorsing this television show, but Sarah Lawrence refuses? Like, there's no way. Whatever. So Ethel is softly weeping into Betty's dress. And Betty is like,
real Cinderella.
Yeah, Betty is like, Ethel, why are you sobbing? And she's like, you're just all so beautiful. And so later she asks her about it and she's like, I just wish I could compete. And so then Betty's whole thing in this episode is getting Ethel to compete because Alice won't say so, but she doesn't want Ethel to compete because she's fat. And also she has a bad history, which I love that they're saying
they keep talking about her history when the issue is that the issue is she's not pretty is what they're saying.
Shannon Purser is very pretty.
Okay, no, I was going to say, I like Ethel in concept.
Yeah.
I like her less in practice. However,
this is the most consistent Ethel's ever been.
This season.
This is the most I've liked Ethel.
But my kingdom for a story involving Shannon Purser that doesn't hinge around her being a bridge troll.
Yeah, because it's just not true.
She is a little tall, and she is heavier than some other people might be. That's what we're dealing with.
What's that thing you always say? Is it doesn't matter if you're skinny and pretty or you're fat and pretty as long as you're pretty.
Well, she's not what is traditionally considered
CW
TV star.
Beauty. Yeah.
So I sort of feel like bringing her onto a CW show and then hinging every plot around that negates her presence.
Yeah, I
Just
agree.
let her be on the show.
I agree.
And not have to, every single episode she's in, acknowledge the elephant in the room.
Because Alice never does say it, but Betty catches on and she's like, you're despicable. Like, this is ridiculous. And so she keeps talking about this.
She's perfectly lovely. And I started to say while we were watching, because I got so frustrated early on, if you want to watch along with us, I love it. But if you want to watch along with us, you can head on to
Patreon.com/So I'm watching this show.
And join the $3 tier and watch along with us. And I was just sort of like, because they even put a button on the Jughead crush in this episode.
Because she's having like a fantasy.
And I was like, it's not realistic. It's not in the cards. And I literally was like, what she needs is Dilton Doily.
Yeah.
To come in and if you recall, rock her world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To the moon and back.
Yeah. I forgot about that. So the other thing, too, though, is that Alice keeps bringing up this, like, dark history of Ethel's. And in my mind, I kept going, you mean that thing that happened to her 2 months ago?
Her parents were murdered.
That's not dark history. She doesn't have, like, a storied dark history.
If anything, OG Ethel's, because remember her father was, like, involved in, like, a business.
It was, like, embezzling or something. I don't. So regardless,
she's fighting for her life. She's
doing everything she can.
Shannon's keeping her head above water.
She really is. She's doing, and again, this season specifically, she's doing so well. And I'm really glad that we do have Ethel in the mix. And I'm even more glad in this episode, that she had scenes with the other girls, because she's been alone on an island with Jughead this entire season, which is not terrible because they have a fun dynamic. And also, I do think it's unrealistic, but he was rooting for her hard. So, I mean, he likes her, but I don't think he likes her. Yeah. Regardless, so Alice is like, absolutely not. Forget it. And so for some reason, Veronica's bright idea is to go to the more reasonable Cooper parent and see if he will negotiate. And still they have to bring out the big guns of all of them dropping out if they don't allow Ethel to compete, which was the plan so that was the plan. We're going to tell your mom we're all going to drop out unless they let Ethel compete. And then Veronica was like, I have a better idea. Let's talk to your dad because I bet he'll be more reasonable. And then literally like the second words out of Veronica's mouth were, well, we won't compete if you don't let Ethel do it. I was like, so what? This is nothing. This is ridiculous. So they end up doing it. And then when Alice was like ripping into Hal, and then it cuts into Betty's room where Ethel is, and she goes, they're not fighting about me, are they? And they've said Ethel's name no less than 6 times.
And this is a place where I will actually complain a little bit or critique a little bit, because I assume what I'm about to say hasn't happened because we still have a couple episodes left, but we come right up to the threshold of this plot with Alice, but we never fully crossed in.
To like villainy?
Not the villainy, but like she's reckoning with her role in society.
Sure.
And the path she chose, and then her daughter, and trying to lead her daughter down the path she went down.
Yeah.
But recognizing that her daughter is better than her. Real shit.
Well, because there's like some,
and we come right up to that. This is like the third episode where we've come right up to it, but we don't ring the door. We don't actually
like resentment and stuff. And the thing,
but she's working through it.
A little. She is a little. The thing that blows my mind, which we glossed right over, the scene with Betty and Alice in the kitchen towards the beginning of the episode, where Alice lights up like a Christmas tree, talking about how she wanted to be a stewardess. Amazing. She's so
I was like, oh my God, that would have been brilliant.
Alice would have been amazing at that. So she's so excited, and Betty's
even Betty is like, that would have been great for you. And the fact that the fact that Betty was endorsing something that she said, that's a first in that kitchen. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, and so that's what I mean, where it's like, and I feel like we will finish this meal.
I hope so.
But we're not there yet. And I'm like,
yeah, we're so close, so close. But yeah, so basically, Ethel gets to compete, and they also do away with the swimsuit competition, which,
not gonna lie, I'm a little bit bummed.
I want to see all of those girls in 1950s bathing suits. So,
there's a literal Barbie sitting on our table. I understand the reality that I'm in. Yeah. It's what it makes me think of, talking about beauty pageants and stuff. They say it's outdated, old-fashioned, yada, yada. Is what it reminds me of is the story I tell is it's the Carl's Jr. commercials.
Oh, sure.
Remember in the 2000s, Carl's Jr. was famous for hot chicks in scant clothes eating burgers.
Sloppily eating burgers.
Yeah, and they stopped doing it. And the issue is not that sex sells is bad. The issue is right here and right now, with all of the possible messages we could be giving people, this probably could take a back seat, at least for a little while.
Yeah, for sure.
I am all for sex sells. If anything, my way to fix beauty pageants is by putting men in it as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, take all their clothes off. I'm an equal opportunity objectifier. But it's sort of what it represents in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. And that's where I'm at. But
until there's equal instances of male full frontal nudity as there is female full frontal nudity, we are not an equal society.
Sure.
That's one reason of many.
Yeah, because I think Price is Right now has male and female models.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I mean, I think that's been for like,
this
I think that's been for like 10 years now. It's been, cool. And John Oliver does it too. There's always a man and a woman that come out.
Nice.
Yeah,
we see very little of the pageant. We do see all of the boys crowded around the TV at Pops. And
living their best life.
And Archie was weirdly like putting on his belt for like the majority of that scene. Was like reattaching or like reclosing his belt.
If the intro, he probably had to keep going back to the bathroom. I don't know.
But yeah, so they're all crowded around. They are living their best life. They're all really excited. And like that's the thing that like makes me crazy is that none of the boys think it's out of pocket for Ethel to be competing. It's like literally just the establishment. Mm-hmm. They're the only ones that give a crap. And the fucking judges are Clifford Blossom, the principal, and that stupid doctor.
Clifford didn't even speak.
He didn't.
No.
Yeah. And Penelope wasn't in this episode at all, which was a little strange. So we don't see very much of the pageant, but we do see Ethel sing a song, which was, again,
very sweetly
on the nose. Who will love me as I am? I mean, I get it, but like, yikes. And it was nice. She did a really good job, especially like she grew into it. So it like ended on a big crescendo and it was really nice. And all the boys were very impressed. And then Alice, totally rigged it. Well, she didn't rig it, but like Betty won and she gave it to Ethel on live TV because she knew nobody could do anything about it, which I kind of love. And I love her reasoning because like Betty sort of doesn't confront her, but kind of like talks to her in the kitchen. And Alice is like, she shows her the card and it says that Betty won. And she's like, I truly believe, or maybe it's just that I truly believe that the pageant can change lives, which like that will change Ethel's life because she got all 3 of those things. I thought maybe one was like for the runner up and one was, but no, she got a Hollywood audition, a scholarship to any college that will accept her. And then a third thing that I don't remember now. A car.
Oh,
a new car, which is like a ton. And that will probably change Ethel's life, which is like a really cool big deal. And at the same time, I do kind of think that Betty doesn't really need that because even if it's a college of Alice and Hal's choosing, like Betty's still going to be able to pay for college. Ethel doesn't have parents anymore. So like, what is she going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And also, Alice made the point that Betty gets straight A's, so she doesn't need a scholarship anyway. So yeah, I found it really interesting. And then the scene in the kitchen at the end, I mean,
I was worried when I realized that it was Betty. I was worried that was somehow going to be like a betrayal or something.
Well, so it kind of was because Alice was like, I don't know, maybe I just didn't want you to win, which it goes back to the thing you were saying where it's like, well, is she that resentful of her daughter having potentially a different or better life than her that she would take away an opportunity for her to better herself so that she'd be forced to go down the path that Alice went down? But it's like, how Machiavellian are we making Alice right now, And I also believe that it could be all of those things. Like, she did want to do something nice for Ethel. She does believe the pageant can change lives. And she also doesn't want Betty to win. Like, all 3 of those things can coexist in Alice at the same time. I found it fascinating. And I did then absolutely love the end where Betty was like, I think you are a good person and I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And then Alice was just crying. I mean, so good. It was so good.
And it's also, I mean, it is a very standard dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't feel like I've seen it a million times.
Well, I mean, also, even in the entire history of this show, when is the last time that Betty said, I love you to Alice? It's been a minute. Mm-hmm. And so that, I just sort of love that is how this episode ended, with her just being like, I know that, because it's like, it's the words under, it's the subtext, because and
sometimes you're not going to be on the same page, even with your own parent.
And you
wouldn't understand that.
You can feel the subtext of her being like, I know that we are having a problematic relationship right now. I know that we're not on the same page. I know that we don't agree on a lot of stuff, but I know that you're a good person. And I know that you know that I'm a good person and I love you. And that's all that it needs to be at the end of the day. And I just think that's fantastic. I mean, and again, the acting. I mean, so good. And next week looks super horny again. Can't wait. That's what I was gonna say at the beginning, is that Lily Reinhart tweeted it or put it on Instagram or something, that like Betty just keeps getting hornier.
Did she?
Wasn't it? I thought you saw that and told me like a few weeks ago. Regardless, that is my favorite thing about this season, is how unbelievably horny all these kids are. Oh, we also didn't talk about like the girls all talking about how Midge got pregnant. And for a minute we were like worried that Betty actually didn't know. And you were like, well, she read that sex book. So it was like, no, she knew like how she got pregnant, but she was like, weren't they using protection? And then Veronica invented the pill. So
I love Veronica this season.
So amazing.
I love Veronica this season.
And especially so, I love and I hope that Mark Consuelos was only in that one episode, because I love Veronica just out from under the thumb of Hiram. Mm-hmm. It's been since like whatever it was, mid season 6, when she like ordered the hit on
5.
him. What? No, 6.
He wasn't in 6.
Not even at the beginning?
Yeah, because it was the bomb. Remember, he put the bomb under the bed.
Oh, shit, that's right. So, yeah, then, like, well, no, but she ordered the hit after that, I thought.
Maybe. We didn't see it, though. He wasn't on the show.
Yeah, we didn't see him. So, whenever after she ordered the hit,
You're right.
I've loved Veronica ever since then, because she got kind of in a cycle with Reggie after that, but it wasn't nearly as tiresome as the cycle she was in with Hiram. So yes, Veronica in this season is fantastic. And Cheryl just hitting back at everything Evelyn was saying. She was like, "No, how are you sitting with us? Like, get out of here." So funny. So funny. I loved it. I thought it was great.
it could be summed up with one word: Genchi.
It's super Genchi.
Super Genchi. So, all right. Well, we will be back next week. What do we have? 5 left?
Yeah. 16 through 20.
Okay.
It's not enough. I feel like now I
wish you never thought you would be begging for more Riverdale.
No, I'm so sad.
Oh, I hope some of these people work together again
me too.
or still. So
yeah, so we're straight through to the end. August 23rd is the last episode. So we don't have a week off anymore.
We're gonna finish Riverdale.
We're gonna finish Riverdale. So there should have been a title card at the beginning of this episode. We're gonna finish Riverdale. We're gonna finish Outlander. We're gonna cover Barbie, and then we are going to mostly pivot to old stuff until the
strike.
SAG and WGA strikes have been resolved with fair and equitable wages to all of the artists. The AMPTP can suck eggs, and yeah. So if there's anything new coming out that we can sort of like infer or confirm, production was completed before the strikes, we will take it on a case-by-case basis. But other than that, yeah, we'll finish these last couple new things, and then we're going to pivot to some more old stuff, including Desperate Housewives. Desperate Housewives. Rachel and I are doing Gilmore Girls. We're going to swap that out with some Dawson's Creek. We are also, at some point, going to get back to True Blood, which a lot of people are super interested in. We're going to do season 3. Yeah, so, and then at some point in the future also, we'll be doing Once Upon a Time. So be on the lookout for all of that, and we'll see you next week for now. Bye!